Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents will be granted access to the personal information of millions of Medicaid enrollees in an effort to track down anyone who may be in the U.S. illegally. The agreement between the Department of Homeland Security and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services was described by a DHS spokesperson as an initiative to ensure undocumented immigrants don't receive Medicaid benefits. ICE agents would be able to see the personal information of about 79 million Medicaid enrollees, including home addresses and ethnicities. Earlier this month, 19 states sued the Trump administration over its decision to share personal health data with immigration officials. A hearing in that matter is scheduled for August 7th. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Dave Min of California. I want to dig into the Medicaid piece of this in just a moment, but you've got an exclusive letter that you've shared with us first here on MSNBC in regards to the conduct of masked ICE agents, especially in your home state of California. What are you asking for? When do you hope to get it by? And what could the DHS Inspector General do here?
Right. We sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Inspector General because this is not a Trump appointee. It's not someone who is crazy partisan. And we're seeking answers to the questions that all of my constituents are asking right now, that I am asking. We have seen the videos. We've heard the eyewitness accounts. These are people that are coming out of unmarked vans wearing masks that are claiming they need masks because they're being doxxed. And yet we've not seen any data or statistics on how many of them had been doxxed. Judges have been doxxed, and we don't see them wearing masks. They are coming out. They're assaulting and kidnapping people in broad daylight. They're punching people in the head. Who are these people? Have they been subject to criminal background checks? Were any of them, say, involved in January 6th? Have any of them been cross-checked with domestic terror organizations like the Proud Boys say? We deserve answers to these questions. You know, if my local police were caught on camera doing anything like this, they'd be subject to investigations and held accountable. And yet there's no accountability, seemingly, for these ICE agents. I think we need answers and transparency. The Inspector General is the right person to go to.
I think you're probably right that this is the right avenue, though it will take some time, I think, to get those kinds of answers. The other side of this is, as we're seeking answers and asking questions about ICE's activity in L.A. and in other areas, we're also then seeing this latest agreement between DHS and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. What's the impact of ICE getting this kind of access to personal data?
First and foremost, I think people are growing in their distrust of government, and this is a huge problem. But once again, this is an example of the Trump administration breaking the law in just obvious, clear ways, egregiously. There are laws in place meant to protect the privacy of our data. And we've seen Palantir go out there and grab people's data. Supposedly Elon Musk and Doge grabbed everybody's data. And now they're sharing this data in ways that are completely illegal. We saw the other day Donald Trump go after a personal political enemy, Senator Adam Schiff, sharing some of his personal data. This is deeply concerning for anybody who cares about the politicization of the government. And so obviously people are going to have a lot of distrust about sharing any of the information with the government now. And this is going to have huge ramifications for our society. People are not going to call the cops. They're not going to share information with us. But it's also another example of Trump flagrantly violating the rule of law.
I think when you say distrust of government, it feels like, even though we've been talking about the Jeffrey Epstein files, the larger umbrella here is mistrust in government, the idea that the government is not being transparent, it's hiding things, it's protecting people who have more power than the average American. That feels like the central focus here. One of the things that Republicans have said about Democrats during the entirety of the Epstein, 2 weeks that we've seen so far, is where were Democrats on this during the Biden years? What would you say to them?
Well, I wasn't,
granted, you weren't here.
I wasn't elected, but, I think the chips need to fall where they may. There are allegations that Bill Clinton, a Democrat, was involved. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, was a major donor to Democrats. So if there's Democrats involved, you know what? If they actually committed any kind of major crimes, including pedophilia and statutory rape, they should be held accountable. But the whole point of the rule of law is that it should apply to everybody equally. You shouldn't get one set of rules for the rich or the powerful or for Republicans versus Democrats. This is what we see in banana republics. And I have a lot of immigrants in my district who fled from places where authoritarians were taking control, and they're scared because they used to see this exact thing happen. So we need to enforce the rule of law for everybody equally. That's just a basic principle of any democratic society.
I think the last thing I want to get you on on is redistricting has become a hot term in the last few weeks because Trump and Republicans are pushing Texas to redistrict at a point where they wouldn't normally be redistricting in an effort to try to shore up the House Republican majority. In California, the governor has said, you do that in Texas, we'll do that in California. I mean, what do you make of this tit for tat that actually has massive ramifications on how people are represented in Congress?
It would have massive ramifications for my district.
Totally.
I don't know what my district might look like.
Yeah, and you're in a frontline district as it is.
It was one of the closest elections in the country last year. So we're prepared for a re-election in the district I was elected to represent. Obviously, the redistricting is out of my control. But I understand the frustration that many residents of places like California feel when we see people like Donald Trump, when we see Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, openly talking about how they're going to cheat and game the system to try to keep control of the House in very problematic, maybe illegal ways. I think people are fed up right now with just the sense that, like, there's one set of rules that apply to us and one set of rules that apply to Donald Trump and Republicans. So I get it. And if they're going to cheat, I think, as I've said before, I think Democrats need to stop bringing a butter knife to a gunfight. If Republicans are going to try to gerrymander 5 states, as they're talking about, maybe states like California, New York, controlled by Democrats, maybe they need to consider all options here, because democracy is on the line, and that's the background here. Every time Donald Trump gets away with another major violation of the Constitution, he gets one step closer to eroding our democracy, and there's not that many institutions left to stop him from just completely eroding and destroying the things that we all hold dear right now.
Yeah, and I think the redistricting thing doesn't get enough credit for the role that it played in a place like North Carolina in the last election, where Democrats were redistricted out of 3 seats there. Now, that was at a point where census data, that's the natural point for states to redraw their lines. That's what makes this instance so different. But I think that you're right to point out the tit for tat that's going on and why people might not be trusting of the system.
Absolutely.
For now, we'll leave it there. Democratic Congressman Dave Min of California, who had a late night in the House because why can't y'all do business during the day? Thank you for coming on.